Hi, I'm going to be presenting on translation problems in Adventure Time and other fantasy cartoons, but all of my examples are going to be from Adventure Time. However, the problems that are presented in Adventure Times in terms of translation can directly apply to pretty much any fantasy-based children's cartoon. Okay. The first and most, I feel like, intense language problem that Adventure Time poses is its use of Korean and other foreign languages in the original English version of Adventure Time. There's kind of a wide range of this use of foreign languages. For example, with the character Bimo, they speak English with a Korean accent, kind of to create this generational and language barrier almost, to emphasize the presence of like old world technology and reminders of the old world in the new world. Lady Rainicorn only speaks Korean and often uses a interpretation device to speak to other characters, but oftentimes just speaks Korean, and some characters can understand and others can't. Princess Bubblegum speaks English most of the time, but sometimes will shout things in German. Those things are not translated in the original version and they're never expanded upon. And then in some of the later seasons, there's one instance of a character named Alva who exclusively speaks Swedish. So, again, to emphasize this kind of disconnect between generations and the existence of the old world and the new world, um, which I will break down more. Um, in terms of Lady Rainicorn speaking Korean, I was hoping to see um, I guess other languages kind of pull on the use of their voice actors or just general cultural knowledge, since the showrunners for a certain language would be existing in, the country and language's culture. So to play on maybe different cultural and language relations that the target language would have with other countries or other languages to use in place of Korean. Unfortunately, from what I was able to find, um, the use of this did not go very far. Um, from my research, the Nordic countries specifically used pure gibberish to refer to Lady Rainicorn um, whenever she was speaking, and so they didn't really play on any kind of I don't know, cultural or language relations that, um, are endless in Europe. However, in the episode where Alva is, even though she was only in one episode, in the Swedish version of Adventure Time in this episode, Alva, instead of speaking Swedish, speaks Finnish. And so the creators of the show, possibly due to more resources, more financial resources um, going on into later seasons, they were able to um, get more language and voice actors to really play on these kind of like language and generational barriers that take place in the original version of the show. But it's just interesting to see the differences between um, how different languages are taken into consideration in different translations. Within the Spanish version of Adventure Time, the Latin American Spanish version, in the earlier seasons, it's possible that Lady Rainicorn is speaking some kind of gibberish or possibly Korean with some variation of a Latin American accent. I'm not exactly able to tell, and I can't really understand what she's saying, so I can't really identify the language. But as we get into later seasons, they completely cut that idea, and instead, the audio from the original English version of Lady Rainicorn speaking Korean is used in place of any other kind of language. And I have clips of those two scenes.
La armonía. Mm, 진짜 피곤해 보여. Sí, ¿están sonando tus oídos? Sí.
So as you can see, there are just differences between or across the seasons. Oh no. Okay. Moving on into the idea of transcreation, due to the fact that Adventure Time was made in the United States, it is an English-based cartoon and takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. A lot of the visuals are references to Western ideas. So things like making bacon and pancakes and certain telephones and transatlantic accents and things like that in visuals. And I wasn't able to find any differences between different languages in terms of transcreation within the episodes. However, what I found that was really interesting was transcreation between languages through their title cards. And so the Japanese version still includes the English title of the show, but also includes a scroll at the bottom with a Japanese translation of the show title. The Kurdish version, along with other Central European language versions of the show, completely changed the style, font of the title card and also removed the imagery of the sword. I don't necessarily know why. However, they completely change the visuals of the title card to suit the needs of their audience, so that was pretty interesting. And then a good mix between the two is the Norwegian version of the title card. Um, it still maintains the same font and similar style of just being plastered on. However, they remove the knife out of or the sword out of the words and keep it at the bottom. So the two are just completely separated. So again, another way of meeting the needs of the audience. The last language problem that I wanted to touch on is Adventure Time's use of religious euphemisms. So, oh my glob, you're my glob, and other variations of the word God. Again, it's an English-based cartoon from the United States, so it's very Christian focused. So I was pretty excited to see what other languages would do with these kind of religious euphemisms, just based around the culture and their words or their languages, words for God and other things. Um, Again, I was pretty disappointed with what I was able to find, considering the fact that as I was going through these examples, they seem to not use any wordplay in terms of religious euphemisms and rather just use the direct word for God or other like religious-based phrases, as well as just replacing these euphemisms completely with other exclamatory phrases, which I'll show two clips here that are also in Spanish. Oh no. Okay. That is the end of my presentation.